Now, welcome to today's class. Today I want to take you through probability, and specifically I want to cover conditional probability as well as independent. Now here we need to get to know the definition part of the two terms, that is conditional probability as well as independent. Now, what does conditional probability mean? Conditional probability is just a probability of an event occurring given that another event had occurred. So that is what we mean by the term conditional probability. While independent, remember that in independent event, these are just the occurrence of one event doesn't affect the occurrence of the other. So under independent here, we just assume that if two events are occurring, then the occurrence of one doesn't affect the occurrence of the other. Now, having known the definition part of the two terms, let us now look at the question here that I put in place for you. The question is, suppose that all individuals buy digital camera, 60% include optional memory card, 40% include option of batteries, and 30% include both card and battery. The question is, find the probability that he purchased a battery given that he had purchased a card. Now when you look at this question here, it states that he purchased a battery given that he has purchased a card. So the question is conditioned in that for he to purchase a battery, he must purchased a card, and therefore in case he could have not purchased a card, then he can't purchase a battery. So that is it. So we shall derive that the probability that he had purchased probability of purchasing a battery having been given a card. Now before we reach there, I want us to, because the topic is probability, and here working with the term card, battery, you know that it is very long. So we can just say that, for instance, battery, we can use a letter. For instance, we can just say let B because it begins with B to avoid confusion. So we shall say that let B to represent the event of battery occurring, while C to represent the event of a card occurring. So that should be your step number one. So you shall just come here and say that let C, now C is here, let C to represent the event of a card occurring, while B, let me use a capital letter, while B to represent the event of battery occurring. So B to represent the event of batteries occurring. Yes, so you remember to put this first step, because failure to put them, then you might mess up by using those terms. Now, having undergo the first step, that is letting, we shall now come to analyze what the question wants. Now, when you come here, we've been told that 60% include optional memory card. That one means that probability of card, because we just use a card, so the card was C. So probability of card is equals to 60%. And as well, the 60% we can represent it in a decimal by dividing by 100. So we can just say that is 60%, and 60% is over 100. When you divide, you get 0.6. Then here we've been told that 40% include option of batteries. and batteries, the term batteries, we say that let B to represent that event. So we can just come and say now that the probability of B occurring is now equals to 40%. That is 40 over 100. So that is 40 over 100. That one probably is equals to 0.4. Yes. Then here lastly, we've been told that 30%, very important, 30% include both card and battery occurring. Now, what does that mean? The moment you see the term both card and battery, the term both means that it is an intersection. Yes, so it is an intersection between a card and a battery. So that is it. So you will just come and say here that now the probability of card intersection, remember we represent intersection with that symbol there. So the probability of card intersection battery occurring, and what is it? It is 30%. So we shall just represent it as that is 30 over 100, and probably that is 0.3. Now, having analyzed the equation here, we now come to the what we want to get here. We've been told to find the probability that he purchased a battery given that he had purchased a card. How do we present that? What we are supposed to come and say that now the question wants you to get the probability of purchasing battery. So you will just come here and say probability of purchasing battery having been given a card. The denominator here should be what you've been given. Yes. Then you just put that bracket there. Now, I want to give you a very essential formula here that will enable you to cover this. So the moment you've seen a probability of B, that is battery, having given a card, the formula should be you get the probability of B intersection C. So you just come here and say probability of B intersection C there over the probability that you've been given. So the probability that you've been given is that probability of C, yes, or card. So over probability of a card. So that is it. Then after writing that formula will enable you now to substitute, because a probability of B intersection C occurring, we've been told here that probability of C intersection B is equals to 0.3. So what we shall just do is just substitute. Just take this 0.3 and put it there. Then remember, on the other hand, we've been told that probability of C occurring here is 0.6. So everything you have. So there's no much elaboration on getting other things. So you shall just come and say probability of B intersection C. Remember, here I wrote that probability of C intersection B. This one is just the same as when I could have started with B intersection C. It doesn't matter which letter you begin with, because they mean the same thing. So you will come here and say that probability of intersection is 0.3 here. So it will be 0.3 over the probability of a card. And what is the probability of a card? That is 0.6. So you come here and write 0.6. So friends, after reaching here, you just simplify this, because it is not you need not to leave this at this point. Just simplify it so that you can get full marks. So when you simplify that, probably it is 0.3 divided by 0.6, and finally you will end up by getting 0.5, which mean a half. Remember, 0.5 is just a half. So you will finalize by getting a half as the probability that he purchased a battery given that he had purchased a card. Yes, so that is how you are supposed to undergo such like a question, so that you be correct. Otherwise, remember to share the video so as for the other people or other friends of yours to benefit. We want to excel in academics. That's why I came up with this. So please share, and I hope you are enjoying. Otherwise, let's meet in the next class.